Hello everyone, this is Shantanu Bhosale and welcome you all in Curious Academy. Around the 6th century BC, the world was buzzing with new ideas. It was a remarkable age when great minds walked the earth. Buddha meditated under the Bodhi tree. Mahavira wandered barefoot in search of truth, and far away, Heraclitus, Zoroaster, Confucius, and Lao Tse shared their wisdom in different corners of the world. In India, this was not just a time of thinkers but also of change. The land was dotted with republics, small, independent states where people discussed, debated, and made decisions together. These open societies gave space for fresh thoughts to bloom. Tired of old religion filled with many rituals and rigid priesthood, many began to seek simpler paths. From this thirst for truth, two powerful movements were born: Jainism and Buddhism, with messages of non-violence, compassion, and inner awakening. They touched the hearts of millions and left a lasting imprint on Indian society. And so, this golden century became a turning point not just for India but for the entire world. In 6th century BC, India people were growing restless. Religion had become a confusing maze of mantras, costly sacrifices, and complex rituals led by powerful priests. The common folk, farmers, traders, and artisans found it hard to follow or afford such practices. The Upanishads offered some wisdom, but their deep philosophy was too difficult for most to grasp. Amid this unrest, two princes from the warrior class, Mahavira and Buddha, set out on journeys to find truth. They returned with messages that were simple, clear, and compassionate. They spoke in the language of the people, not in Sanskrit, and taught that anyone, regardless of caste, could find peace and salvation. But it wasn't just about religion. Society was divided by caste, where the lower classes had little voice, and even the rising merchant class, the Vaishyas, found themselves stuck below the Brahmins. Many Kshatriyas too were tired of priestly dominance. So when Jainism and Buddhism appeared, they found eager followers, especially among the traders and the common folk. These new faiths offered not only spiritual hope, but also a chance to break free from the old rigid order, and thus the winds of change began to blow across India. Mahavira, the great teacher of Jainism, shared a path built on three shining gems: right faith, right knowledge, and right conduct. He taught that true faith meant trusting in his teachings, while true knowledge meant understanding that there is no creator, God, and that every object, living or not, has a soul that can feel pain. To live rightly, one had to follow five great vows: do no harm, speak the truth, never steal, live simply without possessions, and remain pure in conduct. Ahimsa, or non-violence, was the heart of his teachings, not just towards people and animals, but also even towards insects and plants. Mahavira believed that even a rock or a drop of water had a soul, and hurting anything, even by farming the land, was sinful. He rejected the Vedas and the rituals of the priests, urging people instead to live a pure, disciplined, and humble life. For some, this path meant extreme practices like fasting, renunciation, and even nudity, seeking freedom through complete detachment from the world. After attaining enlightenment, Mahavira formed a Sangha to spread his message of truth and non-violence. He welcomed both men and women, monks and lay followers alike, into the spiritual community. With their dedication, Jainism began to flourish, especially in western India and Karnataka. Great rulers like Chandragupta Maurya, Kharavela of Kalinga, and southern dynasties such as Gangas, Kadambas, Chalukyas, and Rashtrakutas became its patrons, helping Jainism grow faster and wide. But then a terrible famine struck the Ganges valley. Many Jain monks, led by Bhadrabahu and Chandragupta Maurya, journeyed south to Shravana Belagola in Karnataka. Those who stayed back in the north, led by Stulabahu, made changes to the monks' way of life. This caused a split. Some wore white robes and became Shwetambaras, while others renounced clothing entirely and became Digambaras. To preserve their teachings, Jain monks held two important councils. The first, led by Stulbahu, took place at Patliputra in the 3rd century BC. The second, in the 5th century after that, at Vallabhi, saw the final compilation of Jain scriptures into the 12 Angas, securing Mahavira's teaching for future generations. In 567 BC, a prince named Siddhartha was born in Lumbini Garden near Kapilvastu to King Suddhodana and Queen Mayadevi of the Sakya clan. After his mother's death, he was lovingly raised by his aunt Prajapati Gautami. At 16, he married Yashodhara and they had a son named Rahul. Though surrounded by luxury, Siddhartha's heart changed when he saw four sights: a sick man, an old man, a corpse, and a wandering monk. These glimpses of suffering shook him deeply. At 29, he left his palace and family to seek the truth of life and a way to end suffering. For 7 years he wandered, met wise teachers, and practiced severe penance. Finally, at Bodh Gaya, he meditated under a Bodhi tree and at the age of 35 attained enlightenment. He became the Buddha, the enlightened one. His first sermon was at Sarnath, and for the next 45 years he walked across North India, sharing his message of compassion, balance, and liberation from suffering. He avoided metaphysical debates and focused instead on solving real-life human problems. The Buddha passed away at the age of 80 in Kusinagara, leaving behind devoted disciples like Sariputta, Moggallana, Ananda, Kassapa, and Upali. Even kings like Bimbisara, Ajatashatru, and Prasenjit became his followers, helping spread his teaching far and wide, from Rajgriha to Vaishali, Nalanda, and Patligrama. His journey changed not just his life but the lives of millions. Buddha, the enlightened one, taught not through dogma but through simple truths drawn from life. He said, "The world is full of suffering, and this suffering comes from desire. But there is hope. If desire is removed, suffering can end, and the way to achieve that is through the Eightfold Path: right view, resolve, speech, conduct, livelihood, effort, mindfulness, and concentration." Buddha didn't argue about gods or souls. Instead, he focused on what mattered: karma. A person's present condition, he said, is shaped by their own actions. He denied the existence of a permanent soul, but upheld ahimsa, non-violence, with deep compassion. Even when insulted or threatened, Buddha responded with love, never anger. His teachings were rooted in morality and reason, not rituals or blind faith. He believed in purity of thought, word, and deed, and opened his Sangha to all, regardless of caste or class. Without directly attacking the caste system, he quietly dismantled it with equality. Thus, more than just a religion, Buddhism became a social movement, offering a practical path to peace, dignity, and inner freedom for all. After his enlightenment, Buddha gathered two kinds of followers: the devoted monks, means bhikshus, and the supported lay followers, means upasikas, to spread his message of compassion and truth. He formed the Sangha, a spiritual community open to all, men and women, rich or poor, of any caste. Even though there were some special rules for nuns, the Sangha was run democratically, with monks like Sariputta, Moggallana, and Ananda guiding its growth. Thanks to the Sangha's tireless efforts, Buddhism spread quickly across North India, especially in places like Magadha, Koshala, Kosambi, and various republican states, even during Buddha's own lifetime. Nearly 2 centuries later, a great turning point came when Emperor Ashoka, moved by the horrors of war, embraced Buddhism. He sent missionaries far and wide to West Asia, Sri Lanka, and beyond, turning what began as a local movement into a world religion, guided by peace, ethics, and quiet power of compassion. After the Buddha's passing, his followers wanted to preserve his teaching with care. So, the first Buddhist council was held at Rajgriha, led by Mahakashyapa, to ensure the purity of his words. Years later, around 383 BC, the second council met at Vaishali to settle disagreements among monks. Then came the third council at Patliputra under Emperor Ashoka's patronage. Here, Mogaliputta Tissa guided the work, and the final version of the sacred text, the Tripitakas, was completed. The fourth and most significant council was held in Kashmir by Kanishka, with Vasumitra as president and Ashwaghosha as a key participant. During this council, a new form of Buddhism, Mahayana, was born, offering a more devotional path. The earlier tradition came to be known called as Hinayana. Over the centuries, the Buddha's teachings were compiled into the Tripitakas, the Sutta, Vinaya, and Abhidhammapitakas, written in Pali. Though written long after his death, they carried the voice of Buddha across time and lands. After the Buddha's passing, his followers wanted to preserve his teachings with care, so that Buddhism, born in the heart of India, left behind a legacy that shaped the nation's soul. Its greatest gift was the idea of ahimsa, non-violence, a value that would later guide the path of great leaders and become a pillar of Indian society. Buddhism also breathed life into art and architecture. The majestic stupa of Sanchi, Barhut, and Gaya, along with the serene chaityas and viharas, still whispers stories of peace and devotion. In the world of learning, it nurtured great centers like Nalanda, Takshashila, and Vikramshila, where students from near and far came to study. By spreading its message in Pali and local languages, Buddhism helped them grow and flourish. And as monks carried the Buddha's message across borders, they also carried India's cultures to the corners of Asia, weaving into the fabric of many civilizations. Thus, Buddhism's gentle touch helped shape not just a religion but a rich and lasting cultural heritage. Thank you guys for watching Curious Academy, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel.